You're listening to Life Lessons from a Psychic with C Psychic Readings Intuitive Podcast, the podcast where you'll get healing messages from Spirit to help you move positively forward in your life. Hey everyone, it's C from C Psychic Readings. Thanks so much for joining me today for this podcast. First off, I just want to say I want to thank so many of you out there who listens to this podcast. Again, I'm just always surprised. I get so many people who come to me, either clients or people that have listened to the podcast emailing me, and they've just said, see, it's so funny. I'm listening to your podcast and it's just so helpful. Or I heard this podcast and I did this and it really changed this in my life. So it's making me feel good, that spirit messages are coming through. I'm glad they're being helpful and healing for everybody. And today I would like to do more of that. All right, so let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about quantum leaping, quantum jumping, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's the idea of how to take yourself from where you are now to push yourself into the future of where you want to be. So it's a little bit of science, a little bit of manifestation, a little bit of some woo-woo magic. We're going to mix it all up in a bowl to give it to you, all baked with goodness. You can use it for yourself moving forward. All right, so let's jump into it. Quantum leaping, quantum jumping. What is it? Okay. Now, obviously, this is rooted in science. This is where it kind of came from, the idea of, quantum leaping. You can look it up online. I don't want to bore anybody with that. But there's this idea that, there's a belief that we as energy and collective consciousness, there are multiple realities out there or multiple universes that we can pull into our experience or project ourselves into that experience. So if you are living a current reality, if your current reality right now is, I don't have the love of my life, I don't have enough money, I don't have that business, I don't have that car, I don't have that great house, I don't have the vacations I want to go on, I'm struggling with this and that. If that's the current reality that you're experiencing right now, that is all that is. Your current reality of what that is. That isn't the future reality. Might be the past reality, might not be the past reality. But what it is the current reality. That's all that we know. What we don't know is the future reality of this, okay? And this has been seen in many different areas. I'll give you some examples. This could be with regards to your health. I've seen this happen with people, especially regards to money and love and relationships and all that kind of good stuff. So I want to kind of bring it in and explain exactly what it is, give you some ideas of how you can use this for yourself. So some people have said to me, I've had clients on the phone with me and go, see, quantum leaping or quantum jumping, it's kind of like manifestation, right? It's just another way of using manifestation. Yes and no. I think quantum leaping or the idea of quantum jumping, I think it is borrowing from, again, the idea of manifestation. And we all know what the law of attraction manifestation is. So it is taking it sort of book from that. And if you go on the internet and you kind of type into the socials or whatnot, if you look at things like quantum leaping or jumping, you'll get a bunch of videos or people talking about this. You'll see things like the 2-cup theory or other things like that. And basically, they're tools. Just like anything, it's tools, but you have to know how to use it. Because, for example, just because I give someone a hammer doesn't mean they're not going to know how to build a house, right? So you really have to know how to use these tools in connection with the right mindset and the right sort of feeling-based ideology of what you're trying to achieve and knowing what you're trying to achieve by also getting out the blockages of what's blocking you to achieve what you want to achieve to have this really work. So let's kind of scoot it back a little bit, talk a little bit about, as I mentioned, what quantum leaping or quantum jumping is and how you can kind of use it. So if the idea is that the future reality is still unknown, if we don't know what that future reality is because it doesn't really exist, or it exists in multiple timelines, or there's multiple realities of how that can exist. Let's just say that that is the concept that we're working with. Let's just say we believe that, all right? I always tell my clients, don't believe the crazy psychic lady, just imagine as if and operate from as if. So that's what we're doing here. Let's imagine that the reality of where you are right now is not where you want to be, and there is a reality of you in the future exactly being the person that you want to be, having the things that you want to have, being blessed and grateful, moving from a 3D reality into the 5D reality, and really kind of getting and giving everything that you want in this life, okay? So how do you get there? Well, I think the first thing is to really take stock of what it is that you want and why do you want it. All right. This is the biggest thing. I have so many clients. I love my clients so much. They're so wonderful. But so many times I see so many conflicting stories in terms of my clients telling me what they want and either telling me why they want it or telling me or showing me the actions of why they're pushing it away. Okay. I'll give you an example. I see this a lot in my dating clients or my clients who are dating, looking to find the one. They're telling me, see, where's my man? Where's my lady? Where's this amazing person I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with? Where's the person that's going to love me unconditionally, really treat me and my time as valuable, make sure that they do everything they can for me? And then I look at them and I say, well, where are you right now? Number one, are you doing this for yourself and other people? That's the first thing. And number two, are you entertaining anybody around you that is maybe not putting you as their highest priority? Okay? Because if you're saying that you want the one, the love of your life, the great sort of individual, the great love, but you're hanging around with someone that's, for lack of a better word, giving you crumbs, as I like to tell my clients, or not giving you what you want, why are you entertaining them? And a lot of my clients say, oh, but see, you don't realize if the right person came right now, I just need them to show up and then I would let go of the other person or then everything would be fine. So that's operating from fear. And as we all know, fear isn't the best way to operate. I like to make a joke with my clients, especially those that are kind of looking for love. Very rarely, and I'm even going to say never. I have never heard a client or a woman say to me, oh, see, I was looking for my man and I really wanted an amazing husband and I can't tell you how desperate I was. See, I was so desperate and scared I wasn't going to find them. And then all of a sudden they showed up and it's wonderful, right? I don't hear that. What I hear is, see, I really was in a struggling place and I really didn't love myself enough to attract the right person. I was scared I was going to be alone all my life. I looked at my fears. I looked at what was blocking me and I said, you know what? I'm going to live my life right now, love myself, date myself, be the best person for myself, and be happy where I am, knowing that the universe has a bigger plan for me. Maybe that's the right person, maybe that's something else, but I'm not going to let that affect me anymore and look to things that I don't have any control over. And then when they do that, I get the funniest stories where they say, see, remember you told me about that guy that you saw? Guess what? I just bumped into him. It was so funny. It was like out of the blue. It was like, oh my gosh, one day he's here and then one day he's not here and the next day he's here. Exactly like what you said. It's fascinating. Think that's magic? No, that's quantum leaping. That's them imagining and knowing where they want to be and then showing the universe, this is where I want to be. Okay, so the first thing is really getting clear on what it is that you want and why do you want it. Because a lot of people, funny enough, they want something, they don't even realize why they want it. Lottery, for example. Let's do that. Everyone wants to win the lottery, right? Why do we want to win the lottery? Oh, easy. I want to win the lottery because I want to buy all these things. Do you really? Do you really want to win the lottery and buy all these things? Because remember, with big money comes big responsibility. Are you able to manage all this money? Are you going to be prepared for what happens when you have all this money? When people come out of the woodwork asking you for money, or when you're now approached to, give money or donate money or manage money, what kind of funds are you going to put it into? Make sure that you continue the legacy of it or what you want to do with it. Because as we know, many people win the lottery and then they end up broke many years later because they haven't actually changed the energy of who they are. Right? They just were able to change it for a moment to get the thing that they want, but weren't able to keep the thing that we want. And that's really what you're trying to do, right? This isn't about quantum leaping into a forward reality and then stepping back into your current reality. You want to stay there. So if you want to stay there, you got to do the work to get there. Similarly, if you'd like to lose the weight, you lose the weight. And how do you keep it off? By keeping the same healthy habits. You don't lose the weight, go back to eating cheeseburgers every day and not exercising. It won't happen, all right? So if there's something that you really want to think about why you want it, and then you really want to imagine the feelings that come with it, and really think about anything that is blocking you. So again, we'll talk about money. I can share this story with you. I have a client that really, really wants their business to take off and they're really struggling with it. And they came to me and they're like, see, I really think I have a good idea for business. I really, really want this to take off, but it's on the struggle bus. I don't really know what to do. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about this. What is the feeling around this? Like, for example, if this took off tomorrow, how would you feel? And they said, oh, I think I'd be really happy. And I said, okay, that's great. Is there anything you wouldn't be happy about? And they said, see, it's kind of funny. If this was to take off tomorrow, while I would be really happy, I would be nervous because now I'm feeling like, okay, I got to repeat this. And I don't know if I can repeat this over and over again. And I said, there's your crux. Your crux isn't that you need this business to take off. The crux is that you're having a tough time seeing yourself as a successful entrepreneur. Because if you are a successful entrepreneur, you can repeat the action. You're not a one-hit wonder. And that was the quantum leap that we were focusing on, for them to see themselves not as this being the successful business, but as being a successful business owner that is consistently able to create and produce, right? And the funny thing that happened with them was I talked with them later on. That business they were working on, it wasn't a great business, not a great business strategy, let's be honest. But that led them to the right business. And they did do trial and error and had to fail multiple times at different businesses till they found the right one that works for them. But because they were able to shift their belief and essentially shift or jump into the reality where they were a successful entrepreneur, boom, then they were able to attract it to them, or what I say is match up to the timeline that you want. Okay, so it's sort of the example of the best way I could describe this to people is imagine you have a trip planned, right? You're going to be going to some Caribbean vacation, lying on the beach, drinking lots of yummy drinks and enjoying yourself in the sun. Okay, if you've already been there, for example, if you've already had an all-inclusive vacation, maybe not at that exact location, but you know what that's like. You know what that's like. So you can sit there, close your eyes, and imagine what it's like to be there before you hop on the plane and actually get there. And if you do that, when you do actually get there, not very much different. And you'll open up your eyes and be like, oh, wow, yeah, I remember this. I remember what this is like. This is great, because you had that experience. The only difference of what's happening with what you really want to that is that you might not physically have had that experience or know what that's like. And that's the other thing people get stuck on. They say, see, I really want to have that experience, but I don't know what this is like. I don't know how to have a proper partner or relationship, but I really want it. How do I quantum leap? I had a client that I saw that she could have this. And she goes, see, I know that you see this for me and I think that's really great, but I just don't, I'll be honest, I don't have faith. I don't have faith that that's actually out there. I don't have faith that a guy like that exists for me. So obviously she was battling with her own self-worth, self-confidence, all that kind of good stuff. And it was because she'd never seen healthy patterns. She had never seen healthy relationships, never was around a healthy relationship, therefore never had a healthy relationship. So in her world, that doesn't exist. Well, that doesn't exist today. Doesn't mean if we quantum leap in the future, it wouldn't exist. So the first thing I had her do is I said, I'm going to give you homework. I want you to go out and I want you to find 5 very happy couples that you can report back and say, we're very, very happy couples. This is in my life coaching classes with my life coaching clients. And so she went out, she made a call on social media to people, and through that, friends of friends and people in her network referred her to people. And she started hearing all these great stories of people that were in amazing relationships with people who are supportive, who love each other, who are their best cheerleaders, who are able to have fun with them, who are faithful to them, all these great stuff. And it actually opened up the window a bit. And she said, this is crazy. It is out there. Now, my next blockage is it out there for me? So that's when I said, that's when you call it in. And one thing that she had issues with is she was a very anxious attachment style, if you know what that is. Basically, she was very anxious that anyone was going to leave her because that's sort of the experience that she had. She had abandonment issues, all that kind of stuff. So she would also sabotage or be very anxious about things, which then would ruin even current relationships she was with and wouldn't attract the right energy to her because she wasn't even able to be the right partner. So while she was talking with these couples who had these great relationships, she said things like, what does it feel like to be in this great relationship? What does it actually feel like? And they reported things back saying, I feel very secure. I just wake up and I know my partner has the best intention for me. I know that if we have a little bit of a disagreement, it's not because they're trying to hurt me. It's not because they're doing anything bad. I give them the best set of expectations. I always assume the best. That's what I think of them. And we work from there and everything just gets solved. And things aren't a big deal. I don't get stressed about a lot of things with them. I kind of look at it saying we're always going to figure it out and I have full and utter faith. So it does. So from there, she realized that she just has to quantum leap or think about how she can manifest and put herself in that current reality to have that experience. And so she did. She ended up spending time meditating and really imagining herself in a relationship like that. And now she had a blueprint because now she had other couples that she spoke with that actually had that experience. So she was able to use that. And in terms of, physical attraction, she thought of an archetype for her, it was funny. She actually used an actor that she has a crush on. And again, she didn't expect to have a relationship with that actor, but she expected, let's see, I want someone that looks like this. This is right now my physical type. Let's put this in placement because it can always change. The universe gives you what you want or better, but let's put this in placement and start doing the visualizations and the exercises. And so she did, and she used a couple of these different quantum leap exercises. Again, the cup theory, where you have two cups and you pour the liquid from one cup into the other empty cup to signify the leaping from one reality into another reality. There's also many other exercises you can do if you look up anything in terms of quantum leap or quantum jump exercises, manifestation exercises, you'll get it. But she did that, and she did that straight. I give her so much credit. She did that straight for 3 months, and she reported it. I always give my worksheets out to my clients who are my coaching clients, and she reported it every single time. She recorded it. She recorded the feelings of it. She did all the homework I gave her. And it got to the point where I was having a coaching session with her, and she said to me, "See, it's so funny. I don't even feel like I need this relationship. Like, I feel like I have it. I literally feel like I have it. I wake up every day so happy. I feel loved. I mean, if he comes into my life, great, but he's really got big shoes to fill because I just already feel so happy and grateful and elated where I am." And you know what? Bingo bango. It happened. When she least expected it, someone showed up. Turns out they were friends for actually a little while. She didn't even recognize the person had a crush on her. And then all of a sudden it turned out to be that person. And they ended up, having a very different, loving, healthy relationship, something she'd never experienced before. So she essentially quantum leaped into that reality and brought that reality into her existence. All right. So it can happen. So let's talk about how we can make this happen for you. All right. So as I've given you some key items here to consider, we're just kind of going to roll it back and just kind of look at these again so you really get the idea of this. The number one thing you need to do is be very clear on what it is that you want and why you want it. I know you'll hear this over and over again from me or other people, but it's the most important thing, because sometimes you have to do a little bit of digging. Sometimes the thing you think you want isn't really what you want. Sometimes you don't want the money because, look, money in a bank account means nothing. Money is a tool, right? You want the money because it provides a tool for you. It provides a resource for you. It makes your life easier in a certain way. So what is the thing that you want with the money? Not what it is. Money is money. Money in this bank account means nothing. We know that, right? With relationships, if you have that perfect partner near you, what does that do for you? They're just a human, right? They're just an extra human. So it's not like there's this big magic that happens. There's feelings with it. Because if that was just the case, I could get you a doll or a dummy and it would provide the same level of relief. It doesn't, right? Because there's a certain set of feeling that goes with it. So what is the feeling of why you want that person in that loving relationship? Do you want to feel secure? Do you want to feel like someone has your back? Do you want to feel loved? Do you want to feel beautiful? Whatever it is. No wrong answers, by the way, okay? So do a little digging to really figure out what that is. The next thing you're going to want to do, what does that quantum shift look like? Okay. So I want you really to write this out on paper. An exercise I like to give my clients is to say the thank you for, and imagine you already have it. So we'll take example if you want a brand new home. I had a client that was looking to quantum leap into their perfect home, right? So they imagined it and they literally wrote, "Thank you, universe, for my perfect home." They figured out all the details of the home, of what they wanted, why they wanted it. They work through their desire to actually believe they are deserving of it, because part of their blockage was they didn't feel they deserved this. And a lot of people are like that. We don't feel we deserve things. And I love the saying, closed mouths don't get fed, right? So sometimes you just have to ask for it. And you are deserving. Why? Because you are a universe child. We're all deserving, okay? So they wrote down everything of what they really wanted. They wrote down where it was, why they wanted it. They saw the gatherings of the family in the home and all this and that. And every single night after they wrote that down, they would envision this, and they would envision quantum leaping. And what they did, and I think this is a really great meditation exercise or visualization exercise, they imagined actually meeting their future self in this home and having that future self tell them everything that they did to get into this home. So what they actually told me they did, they said, "See, I would sit down and I imagined me in my current existence with my current clothes, how I currently look, and I imagined myself knocking on the door of that home, and all of a sudden my future self is opening that door. And that future self looks brighter, that future self has nicer clothes on, that future self looks less tired." They really kind of did it up, right, in their mind. And they imagine them talking to their future self, and their future self being excited to invite them into this new home and excited to show them around this new home and to really just kind of be excited for them and share all the memories of what they've been doing in the new home. And for the future self to say to them, "Look, this is what your future is. This is the reality for you. it's not here today, kind of like the Caribbean, like we were talking about with that trip, but it's coming to you. So be excited because it's here and you're stepping into it. And once you can remove the resistance, that's the magic. It's resistance. Because if I say this to a lot of people out there, they might think, oh, see, but this isn't going to work. The moment you think it won't work, it won't, right? Or the moment you think, I don't know if I can actually jump to that reality. That's a little too high for me to jump. Then it won't work. So try something a little bit less. Try something that you can get on board with. Get yourself a little bit of courage to keep asking and doing more, right? So if you want to know how to do this again, write down what it is that you want and why you want it. Write down the feelings associated with it. Be very specific and thank the universe as if you already have it. Visualize it. And when you visualize it, use the exercise of actually jumping into that reality. Use the exercise of actually meeting yourself. Okay, another exercise I love to give my clients, I call it the personal boardroom, where if you're struggling with a decision, business or personal, imagine meeting yourself X amount of years in the future and saying to them, well, how did you solve that problem? Or, hey, remember when we were struggling with this? How did you solve that problem? What did you do? And really imagine that future version of yourself having solved this in the best solution possible, getting the thing that they want that you want. Right? Because it's you, right? It's a separate version. It's another version of you, but it is you. So imagine they have that and asking you, having you ask that future version, hey, how'd you get this? How'd you do that? And I've had clients report some really fascinating results when they do this. I've had clients report this and they tell me, see, I started doing that and it's weird. I got all these solutions for my business. I had a client do that specifically to fix their business. You know, they didn't like where they were at. They were having trouble with it. They did some coaching sessions with me. I kind of taught them how to connect on this different level. And then all of a sudden they started using what we did. They used the homework that we had done in our course and they started doing this on their own. And after learning it, and it was fascinating that they were actually getting good business advice from this quote unquote future version of themselves. And that allowed them to match up with that reality of what they wanted. You really have to look at it like you're not creating this reality. It's already in you. I always tell my clients that we're all collective consciousness. If it's in your sphere, you're meant to here. Here. So if you're imagining this, or if this is something that you want, there's a reason you want it. You know, I always make the joke, no way, in no form or fashion ever did the universe ever say, hey, see, you should be an accountant. I've never wanted to be an accountant. Why? I've been terrible at it, right? So if you're imagining something that you want, there's a reason why you want it. There's a reason it's in your collective consciousness. There's a reason it's there. So if it's there, it's a reality that you can match up to. You basically just want to get on the same wavelength to be able to match it. The best scenario, or not scenario, I'll say the best example I can use for this is think about it as if you're a surfer, right? You don't create the wave, you ride the wave. You match up to the wave when it comes and you get your board on the same, for lack of a better word, frequency to ride that wave, okay? But if I was to take a picture, you might be on a board in still water and I would say there's no waves. But then if I take another picture a little bit later, there's waves coming down. Now, if I didn't know any better, I might say, they created those waves. Well, did you and didn't you? You did. Those waves were created and you rode them. But what you really did was you matched up to that version, right? And that's what you're doing with quantum leaping. You're matching up to the version. You're matching up to that reality that you want. And that's what it is, all right? Now, I know this is a little bit woo-woo wonky, could be a little bit tough to sort of understand. There's lots more resources online if you want to dig down the rabbit hole that way. But I think the best thing you can do is just start. And just start with the idea of belief. What if? What if there is some reality out there? And what if, and if you look on stories, there's a ton of stories out there that have this. What if people are doing this? And what if people are using this as a way to project themselves into the reality that they truly want? Well, if one can do it, all can do it. So if that is something that is being done and somebody has already been able to do that, then why not you? You can do it too. All right? Well, I hope this has been helpful for everybody. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I do hope it's given you some things to think about, given you some ideas, maybe have you percolating a little bit in terms of what you can try. And I want to thank everybody again for listening to this podcast. I'm so grateful that people listen to this, people see value in it, it's helping you, and that's all that I need. That helps me. All right? I hope everybody is doing well out there, and I hope you take care of yourselves and each other. Blessings.